John Thacker in Predator Badlands follows a runt Yautja named Deck, who goes to an alien planet to hunt an apex predator to prove himself to his clan. Now you guys know by now I am a big fan of the Predator franchise. But there was once upon a time when this franchise was not in the best spot, that being from 2018 to 2021. But then Disney, of all companies, actually saved this franchise. Or actually I should say Dan Trachtenberg saved this franchise. As with him at the wheel, we've gotten Prey and Killer Killers. Both not like great Predator films, but just great films in general. They're actually the best in the franchise. And so of course I was very excited for Predator Badlands, a Predator film where you would follow the Yautja as the main character. I was so excited for this film. And before we get to the actual review, I have a little rant. If you don't want to hear it, the timestamps are in the description. But my viewing of this film might have been the worst theater experience I've ever had. I'm not talking about the quality of the movie. I'm talking about the other people in the theater. Specifically, two brain-rotted little kids. At first, they were just being generally annoying, playing mobile games, watching YouTube shorts, saying 6-7. That I could have handled. But what I couldn't handle is when they started yelling at each other and chasing each other around the auditorium throughout the entire movie. And even once the movie ended and I was outside the theater, they were still doing it. So honestly, maybe the first time a theater annoyance has affected my enjoyment of the film. But anyways, I just wanted to share that, get that off my chest. So now getting back to the review. So I haven't seen Predator Badlands. Oh, it's great and I loved it. But my love for it is about at an 80 to 90%. I'll explain why in a bit. But first, I do just want to get into why it's great. This is a very refreshing and new Predator film. The Predator is the main character this time around. To be more specific, Deck is our main character. A very engaging character at that. It's easy to root for this guy. And of course, with us following Yautja, we get to see a different side of the species that we haven't before. Like in one scene, we get two Yautjas just talking to one another, having a casual conversation. We get this species further explored and delved into, but not to a point where it becomes too much like the Predator. Everything is so aligned with what we established in the previous films. This doesn't take away from the threatening foe they've been built up as in the past movies. I'm sure this will probably be one of the only times we ever see this side of a Yautja, and by the next one we'll be going back to being terrified of them. I always love getting to see new gadgets and weapons. We're on an alien planet with all sorts of alien creatures. Stuff I'm honestly surprised I haven't seen in any other films. This movie has some great world building. It also has some great effects, mainly computer effects, but also some very good practical effects, which are both great. And some great and thrilling action. Nothing is totally like anything I've ever seen before, but it is all done greatly. And even though this is the first PG-13 Predator movie, it is still plenty gory. The only reason why this isn't rated R is because there's no human gore, just aliens. But I will say this definitely isn't a horror movie. This is an action adventure. But unlike The Predator, which made it its horror fare for all action, this stays true to what the Predator franchise is. I also think the way they do Tawny Corporation from the Alien franchise is implemented very well. It doesn't set up a future Alien vs. Predator movie, which is almost definitely happening, it's just not set up in this film. There's no xenomorphs in this movie. Don't go into it thinking that. Wayland action is another element for this movie to do something new and unique with. And that's how we get some thanks in this film. Something we've never done in this franchise before, only the Alien franchise. But does seem to be a bit of the human gore without having any human gore. And the synthetic Thena, which serves as one of the main characters, and a voice for exposition for the audience. Because even though I would have loved to just have followed Death throughout the entire film, it almost being completely dialogueless, except for the Yautja language, I do understand that most real audiences just wouldn't like that. And there's where my complaints with the film really do sprout from. Again, I loved it. But stuff like the character of Thena, the animal sidekick, and stuff I don't dislike I thought was used well. But just from my filmmaker perspective, I wouldn't have included that. I would have just had this be Deck on this hunt for this apex predator. But again, I do understand that general audiences just would not likely vibe with that. It seems that they're not vibing with this movie anyways. This is one of those movies where the critic side of me and the filmmaker side of me do not agree with each other. As a critic, I like these additions and thought they were done well. But as a filmmaker, I just wanted to have done these things. And also right now, I think the humor is at a perfectly fine level, but do keep it in check in later films, because it could see it becoming a bit too overbearing. But again, I overall, despite a few things, love Predator Badlands. It's a great, refreshing film for this franchise, and I highly recommend it. But now we're getting to spoilers. The series I know where it does finish its story, but has a clear setup for a sequel. Where this time we see Deck with his ragtag new clan go back to Deck's father where he proceeds to kill him, where then a spaceship appears and Deck says it's his mother. And I'm of course being very excited to see where this is taken in a sequel, as we would finally get a female Yautja. So despite it's been in this franchise for years in comics and games, has never been in any of the films. And to put it shortly, they've been depicted as superior to the males. So I'd love to see how that would be different and unique. And I love getting a glimpse of an average Yautja culture. That makes me want to see an entire film where we're just on a Yautja planet, and maybe follow Yautja who isn't a hunter. Because even though yes, it's been explained in games and comics, that the Yautja sometimes take their technology and weapons from other species, there's no way all of their technology and weapons are stolen. They have to make at least some of them. And I'll be really interested to see a Yautja who doesn't hunt, and just makes weapons and tech. To see him prove himself in a society that is mainly based on hunting. I would love to see an entire Yautja city, to get a completely different Predator movie. But it's unfortunately looks like Predator Badlands isn't doing amazingly. I don't get anything like that anytime soon. But I would of course love to see it. I guess really the biggest lore we get is that Wayland is aware of Yautjas. I'm not sure if they'll come into play in the future films, but that is an interesting development. But yeah, I love Predator Badlands. It's great and I highly recommend it. Also, if you enjoy this video, like and subscribing. Bye guys for now, but you're on Thacker.